Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Mike Deehan with Axios, one of our partners here at WBZ. And we are talking about something that impacts all of us. I don't care if you live in Boston, you live in greater Boston. I'm talking about traffic. Sometimes you feel like you need to have snacks to get through your commute to and from work. And so this is what we're going to talk about. Mike, thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, great to be with you.
Okay, so Mike, in your article, you said congestion is getting worse. We're actually almost back to levels we were seeing in 2010. Tell us why. What's going on? How did we get back here?
Yeah, well, there's no one answer. I think there's a lot of traffic patterns from before the pandemic that were getting worse and worse. A lot of traffic behaviors since the pandemic, you could say, have been worse. But what these studies showed, and this was a study out of Texas A&M, of many cities around the country, it showed that Boston is at nearly what it was at circa 2017, 2018. It, of course, hit a peak in 2019 and then dropped to kind of a record low for 2020. We're basically back to pre-pandemic levels when it comes to congestion after a bit of a reprieve for the last 5 years when people were working from home more and there weren't as many delivery drivers on the road and there just wasn't as much congestion as there is now. But the basic facts are that yes, we are doing just as bad as we were prior to the pandemic. However, we're still doing better than a lot of other cities around the country. The same Texas A&M study found that actually outside of the Northeast, most American countries' traffic is even worse than it was a few years ago and much worse than it was prior to the pandemic.
Okay, well, at least that'll help shift our perspective a little bit because we'll need to remember that the next time we're sitting in traffic and we're like, why are we all going the same direction at the same time?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it boils down to just there are too many cars trying to go to the same place. I think
It
that's it.
used to feel like, you have your morning rush and you have your going home rush. But now that you can get on the road sometimes at like just any old time in between those two periods, and you're still like, where's everybody going and where did they come from?
Exactly. And that could definitely be a consequence of the kind of work from home, remote work atmosphere that we kind of have these days. People think, well, I'll get on the road a little bit earlier and I will go into the office, or I won't go into the office, or maybe I'll take my meeting at home and so I'll get on the road at 10:30. And so, yeah, now there is kind of rush hour level traffic from 7 a.m. throughout the day. And before you know it, schools are getting out, and then we're right back in that, 2 p.m. rush hour starts again. Because it's kind of been decentralized out of rush hour, it seems like there's traffic headaches all the time. It's still pretty clear at 4 or 5 in the morning, but that's really the only time that you're going to have like a clear tunnel in front of you.
Truly. Now, the optimist in me wants to know, is there anything that can reverse this trend? Are there any solutions?
I mean, the solutions are the same things that transportation officials have kind of been preaching for forever. Whether or not that would actually work or not, it's more and more reliable public transportation. If you want to get drivers off of 93, for instance, improve the commuter rail that services those communities all along 93. That's kind of been the state's strategy for the past 40, 50 years since building out the commuter rail system. Of course, there's a whole other debate about how much to fund or charge for the MBTA and issues like that. But, they're not going to be building more highway lanes anytime soon. They're not going to be building any more highways or roads anytime soon. The number of cars is going to continue to go up. The population of the state is going to continue to go up. The only alternative really is transit. That's the only thing that will get cars off the road.
Is there anything that you think is important for all of our frustrated drivers who will be listening, or maybe the ones who are already taking the T or the commuter rail and they're like, see, this is why I'll never get on the road. Is there anything you think is important to include that I didn't ask you specifically?
Yeah, I mean, there's still the the kind of sorry, let me rephrase that. There's still the self-selecting ability of drivers, or rather the the idea that you have complete control of where you're going, whether or not you are in traffic or not. Americans like their cars, and I think that simply as driving as driving gets more and more frustrating on roads like this, as it gets more and more congested, people might be better off thinking of driving as more of a privilege than it is a necessity in the cases where there are alternatives, things like, trains and buses and things like that. But the stress level, it's kind of all on you to a certain extent.
Gonna take some retraining of our brains because I'm definitely one of those people. I'm like, I love my car.
Yeah.
Let's drive there. Like, yes, parking's gonna be a pain. Yes, I'm gonna be in traffic, but at least I have control of the situation. So,
Yeah,
you
I'm the
know,
I'm the opposite. I'm actually in the middle of getting rid of my car, which is I've only had for like 5 years, and going back to the no driving life. I added up everything I spent on insurance and gas and repairs, and I'm like I'm just gonna give myself that amount of money as a budget, for whatever. Sorry, this is kind of off topic, but
no, I mean, I get it. It would be so nice not to have a note. And then
yeah,
the part of me that wants to just jump in the car is like, oh, but wait.
right. That
So,
that would be the drawback. I think like weekends next summer is when I'm gonna feel it, you know.
but you'll get used to it. Like I admire people who can like give up the car and still like do all the things. My brain cannot wrap itself around not having a car, especially living in southern states before this, where you most
Yeah.
definitely have to have a car.
Yeah, and I definitely realize the unique privilege, honestly, that I can get around without a car. We have Uber and Lyft and trains and buses. I'll be fine. But you're absolutely right. Anywhere else, really anywhere else in the state of Massachusetts doesn't have that either. If you get a little more outside the city, so it's a different kind of way. But I don't know. It's going to be an experiment. But at the end of the year, I'll see if I saved any money. I'm certainly going to save stress.
Well, yes. And sometimes that stress and peace of mind is better than the money. So you let us know how this
Yeah,
real life experiment goes.
will do.
Mike Deehan with Axios, our partner here at WBZ. Thank you. And to be continued.
Great to be with you.